Hello, everybody. That was a very bad Miss Doubtfire impression. Have you seen Miss Doubtfire, Andrew?
Yeah, of course.
Hello.
Hello.
Anyway, this is a stream featuring the woke centrist, aka laughing centrist, aka Dusty Cubes. And we got Andrew here, Andrew Mindgasms Meinster.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about The Closer. And The Closer is the last contractual obligation that Dave Chapelle has with Netflix. So this is a comedy special. And I guess it's his final Netflix special. I don't know what's going to happen in his future. I'm sure he's still going to do stand-up, but I guess the only way we're going to be able to see him for a while is if you go show up and watch him live, because he said this is going to be his last special for a while. You know, whatever.
He's starting podcasts too. I mentioned, right? Obviously,
yeah,
if you mean stand-up comedy, that's true though. Yeah.
Yeah, stand-up is so much. It's like when you watch Rogan and then you watch his special, it's almost two different things that you're watching.
Yeah, for sure. He's almost playing a character when he does his comedy.
Yeah, it's like he's acting theater, acting out much more. It's not a casual conversation. He's not like a conversational comedian. Like a conversational comedian is like, what's his name? Joe Rogan's friend, Tom Segura. Tom Segura is basically the same person on the podcast as he is in stand-up. Like his presentation is exactly the same. He doesn't go into a character. That's just him.
Yeah. Joe Rogan is like he's kind of like extreme meathead version of himself when he's doing comedy, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely like more expressive, more theatrical.
Yeah.
And then there's other people like Segura, he's just low key and he's always himself, even when he's doing comedy. Yeah. But that's just his style,
Yeah.
But Chapelle, Chapelle also has that difference, I think. Because whenever I see Chapelle on a podcast, he's not like dropping a bunch of jokes or anything. It's mostly like thoughtful cultural commentary or just like personal anecdotes about things.
He kind of does some of that in his specials, but then he also does awesome jokes in there too.
Right. So we'll see. It's going to be a while that we're going to see some stand-up from Dave. But did you just finish the special not too long ago?
Yeah, probably like an hour or two ago.
Yeah, so I finished my second viewing probably like less than an hour ago.
Oh, cool.
And man, so if you had seen his special before this, he made a lot of jokes about what he called the alphabet people.
Yeah.
And this
he basically like doubles down on all of his most offensive jokes in this one.
Yeah, except I think he goes hard on the trans issues this time.
Yeah, for sure.
I understand he has a genuine chip on his shoulder. If you just kind of talk about the last 10 minutes of his set, I could understand why he would want to take the piss out of the trans community.
That was why I like right after I finished the special, I posted all over social media Dave Chappelle's last comedy special is it made me laugh and cry, and it's the only comedy special that ever did that, because when he said that his trans friend killed himself after being dragged on Twitter for days, that like literally brought tears to my eyes, and then I also was laughing hysterically the rest of the special.
Yeah, it's so messed up, you know. Especially, you know, I'm guessing the trans comedian like category is got to be tiny and minuscule.
Yeah,
I think the only one I could think of is that one dude. What's his name? I forget his name, but there's like this other trans-ish comedian that kind of dresses in drag. I think he's been on Rogan once.
British guy?
I think he's British, yeah.
I think I might know who you're talking about. I forget what his name is.
I think he's Eddie also something.
An act. Oh, yeah. I think we are
Eddie something. I don't remember his last name, though.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's sad. Because the second time I was paying special... There you go,
Eddie Izzard. Yeah.
I was paying special attention to second viewing. And guess what? Trans jokes are funny. Like,
they are.
People in the crowd were busting up. It's, you know.
Yeah.
Because the jokes weren't super offensive, I guess. Well, I guess one of the big ones that there were criticisms about were when he was talking about comparing genitals and saying like it's impossible pussy or
beyond pussy.
Yeah, or beet juice instead of blood.
Yeah.
Like, is it really that offensive? Like that? Like, some of them don't even have vaginas. Some of them don't even go through.
I think it's mostly like fucking trans activists on Twitter that get mad about that.
Yeah, and ones that write like stupid articles about it.
Yeah, that like take jokes out of context and misrepresent them, and act like every joke is a literal like legal statement that someone literally means.
Right. But it's not like the whole special is about like making fun of trans people. I know he said that this was like the last special where he was even going to talk about them.
Yeah.
And I understand that. I feel like this is kind of a rebuttal. Like, a lot of the special seems like it's a rebuttal to what happened to his friend. That was a comedian who committed suicide.
Yeah.
Like, he's basically saying, all you bastards, you know, need to lighten up. And he's not going to stop. Well, he's going to stop now, but, you know, he's not going to let, I think, because he's not going to let the mob rule, right? So it's almost like this, well, we can see that the special is almost a dedication to this comedian. And her name was, what was it, Dorman? Natalie Dorman or something like that?
Daphne
Dorman. Daphne Dorman.
Yeah.
But man, like when I heard that she had been bullied basically to death, I thought that was pretty messed up. It's just these people don't understand what this is. Like, comedy isn't truth telling. Like, the objective is to make people laugh. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of the stories that Dave comes up with aren't even true. They're probably just like these wacky made up stories.
He's just like, that's what comedians do, man. He's like, so I bet, and he's making that joke about how that lesbian woman accused him of beating her up in a bar, and he said that shit wasn't true. I thought she was a guy.
Yeah, and he also tenderized those titties.
Yeah,
as he said. But yeah, he was going across, everybody, gay, lesbian, trans, whatever. But it was, man, did he get a lot of flack online with this special, as he did with the last one.
Yeah. I liked what he said about that, right? I got a lot of flack from the last special when it came out, and I didn't give a shit because Twitter is not a real place.
Well, at least the Dave Chapelle, yeah, Twitter's not a real place. Some people take Twitter way too seriously.
Yeah, definitely.
To their own detriment.
Yep.
But Dave is high enough and in such a secure place that he doesn't really have to give a shit about Twitter.
Yep.
Like most of the people who are in that realm, I probably think would not give much of a shit about Twitter, unless Twitter's their livelihood. Like, because Twitter is not Dave Chappelle's livelihood.
No.
That doesn't matter to him at all. Like the place, who's Joe Rogan? He doesn't really have much of a Twitter presence.
No.
But it's usually dumbass, partisan hackery people that love Twitter and saying they're really stupid political opinions to their followers.
Yeah.
And so some celebrities, I guess, use Twitter. But I don't know, man. But this special was pretty damn funny. I was laughing out loud quite a bit. Even at the expense of.
I actually predicted one of the punchlines when he was saying that, when he was talking about people accusing him of being sexist, and he said feminism should have a male leader. And I will do that. I will fight for your I will fight for your rights on one condition: you suck my dick.
And then he's like, awesome. And then we're starting from scratch all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed out loud pretty hard at that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to mention, they talked about punching down and punching up and things like that.
His trans friend's response to that on Twitter was amazing too.
Right, it's just punching lines.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know, maybe jokes, in order to be funny, these jokes have to be offensive. I think just some of really offensive jokes, I've even laughed at, if the delivery is really good, and I've found myself laughing at racist jokes. I'm saying racist jokes against black people. I've actually found myself laughing at those. Because if it's really good and there's a really good punchline, and it's even though it should be offensive to me, if it's delivered right, even I can laugh at it.
Yeah. Well, it's like how I, as a white person, found his racist jokes against white people to be hilarious too, and he was talking about how his trans friend laughed uproariously at his trans jokes. Yeah,
so it's almost as if you have to go into the experience knowing that it's just to make fun, to be funny, to laugh. That's the objective. But yeah, I guess white people get joked about all the time. I'm not sure. Do you know any white people who ever been offended by a comedian's racial joke towards white people?
Well, I bet there's some people hold
on a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I bet there are people who get offended by that jokes, particularly racist white people who are racist against black people especially would probably get offended by a black guy making jokes that make fun of white people because they don't know how to take a joke. I can see how people like that would get offended by that joke. And I don't know. Yeah, people, I mean, like you were saying, just if people don't know how jokes work and don't take them seriously and they're too emotionally attached to their identities, then they could get defended or offended by those jokes. And it reminds me of how, like, he was talking about how he told a few anecdotes about people criticizing him for being sexist, and all that they always mentioned was the talking points from that article that inaccurately portrayed his jokes to show that he's a sexist.
Well, the funny thing too is, like, he actually self-identified himself in a joking way as a transphobic comedian.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there were a couple of jokes where he was told, because he is a transphobic comedian, he's supposed to act a certain way if, in a certain situation. But he was doing that as a joke.
Yeah.
Because he's not really transphobic.
I wonder if anyone criticized him by saying, Dave Chapelle admitted that he's transphobic and beat up a lesbian woman.
Right. So my question is, would Chris Rock's bit, black people versus N-words, would that be racist?
That's a good point. About how he's making...
Is he only allowed to say it because he himself is black? Because he is black, he can make those observations. I think that's a lot of, when you hear a lot of racial jokes, it's usually the race in question that's making those jokes. That, like, it's almost as if in our society, only the person who belongs to that race is allowed to joke about that race unless they're white.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I think I've seen, like, other races talk about other non-white races as well.
Like Russell Peters makes a point of making fun of, like, as many races as possible.
Okay, Russell Peters, yeah, Canadian,
and he makes fun of his own. He makes fun of brown people, and he's a brown guy. And he makes fun of brown people, black people, white people, Asian people, and like everyone in between.
Yeah, that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any group of people that should be exempt from being made, like, to have a joke made about them or something. I understand where, hey, some jokes can be pretty mean, and I've heard.
Yeah.
I've been in. I've listened to comedy where someone made a pretty mean joke, and it didn't get any laughs. And usually the comedian follows with "too soon" or something like that, or because there are times when you have to play to your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like that's like what we were talking about. The if a joke can be offensive, but as long as it has to be funny. And if you don't tell it in the right way, then the audience will tell you that you've gone too far by not laughing about your joke.
Yeah, and one of the things about comedians is that it's a performance. People treat it as if it's their way of life, that's a way of life that someone should live, that it's truth. It's not. It's like they're performing to try to make people laugh. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot too, but I guess sometimes with Dave, though, there's a lot of, it was not in so much this special. I've seen other specials where he had a lot of social commentary. There was quite a bit of social commentary. I think a lot of it was to do with how basically the LGBT people are too sensitive And he tries to contrast that with, how hard African Americans have had it. Because I think he talks to this one in one of the jokes. He tells a story where he talks to this trans woman. It's like, oh, we've been suffering for decades, and he looks at the Juicy Smollett dudes, and he's like, he gives them an eye, like, yeah, sure.
You guys got anything to say there?
Yeah, you got anything to say about that? So it's and that can't be like a real situation. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
But it sounds like way too jokey.
Yeah.
For it to be real.
That's one thing that I thought was an interesting philosophical point that he actually kept bringing up when he would like get into telling his serious anecdotes before getting more comedic. He would make points like, a problem that he has with, like, I guess specifically transgender activism is that those people, like that movement hurts women sometimes, which is why there are some women, and there are TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists, who have a problem with the trans movement because sometimes it can harm women. And it's similar to how he was talking about, like it can just be promoting men sometimes, and how like the gay, and he talks about like the history of the gay, I think it was the gay movement, and how they were like acting racist towards black people because they wanted to separate ending slavery from was it feminist? Yeah, it was like a feminist movement because they wanted to separate themselves from the slavery abolition movement.
I know too that he did actually stick up for like the gay rights advocates, because he said he was trying to compare like gay people today to the Stonewall N-words.
Yeah.
I'm saying N-words here because YouTube, I don't want to trigger their algorithm here, so I'm just not going to say the word.
And you can say it in real life too because you're black.
Well, I could if I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I'm not, because
YouTube doesn't.
YouTube doesn't like that word.
Mm-hmm. No, they don't.
So yeah, he compares like how soft today's gay people were in comparison to those Stonewall N-words and their gay contractors and glory holes.
Yeah, the glory hole bit was so awesome. I'm not even gay, but I kind of want to try that shit out.
But he does give them props. Like, I remember one prop that he gave. Oh, that was so hilarious. Well, this is about trans people. And he was like, when he said that he beat the toxic masculinity out of her. Oh, man. That was freaking chef's kiss so right brilliant. There. Yeah. Chef's kiss. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, beat the toxic masculinity out. It's like true, but wow. It's like, I don't know. It's like so multi-layered. Like he's making fun of the term, but he's using it in such a real and real way in how they define it.
Yeah, for sure. I like how he was kind of like, he would say something favorable and then give himself like armor for saying something offensive, and he would say, and he would like that example of toxic masculinity, and then sometimes when he was talking about transgender people, like that joke he made about his transgender friend at the end of the sad story, he was saying that I hope that I can talk to her kid one day when they're 21 and I can say, I knew your father and he was a great woman.
True. Like,
yeah.
it's not her. Like, you wouldn't be able to address her as a mother because she didn't give birth to her.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, wow. And I'm betting if the trans lady Daphne Dorman was still alive, she'd probably be busting up at that.
Yeah, I bet she'd be defending him on Twitter again too.
Yeah, and it's sad because if there were more trans comedians, it'd probably be more acceptable to just laugh at this stuff. As I actually went and tried to find, I did find one of her. It was a like 10-minute set, and I found a set of her, Daphne Dorman. As I was going to say, man, is she that bad? Because Dave is like, oh, she bombed. She is horrible. But I've actually found a set, and it was her first. Well, in the set, she said it was her first time doing stand up. And I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't amazing, and it wasn't absolutely horrible. But, I thought it was decent for. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Uh-oh.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here. You can't hear me. You don't see the.
Oh, okay. I lost her audio first. I lost her audio for a sec there.
Okay, I was just saying that I found Daphne Dorman's first set, and because I wanted to check her out because he said that she completely bombed and she sucked. And I thought I watched her first set and I thought, oh, I guess he's just kind of exaggerating because it wasn't that bad. And she was making a lot of like trans jokes in the set.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, it's not that bad. Like, but I guess he just said that she was bombing. Maybe she was in his eyes because he's so used to like killing it.
Are we talking about the same sets or different sets though?
No, okay. So I'm saying that when he mentioned that she bombed Daphne Dorman, I went and checked out on Google to see if I could find her set. And I found one of her first set. Supposedly, she said it was her first set during the routine. Okay. And I didn't think it was that bad. It wasn't amazing.
Maybe like if that's a different time from that must be a different time from the time that Chapelle let her open for him. Because he said that she had done, he found out after that she had done it 8 times. So maybe she was just bombing that time and she did worse than her first time. But I don't know. Like comedy could, like, interpretation of how good comedy is, it's subjective, of course.
Yeah, well, she was doing the same routine. I don't know. Who knows, right? But when I did find her stuff, it wasn't that bad. Some of it was funny. You could tell she was like not a seasoned comic, but it wasn't like horrible. But anyway, I just wanted to check out her stuff to see how it was, and I was like, yeah, that's not bad. She probably would have, if she kept at it, she probably could have made a name for herself.
Yeah, but that would have been cool.
But yeah, I guess she was too into Twitter, or I don't know if there's anything else going on at the time, but wow, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's really sad.
And getting back on some high notes. What other things did he cover? He covered Stonewall. Kind of touched. He did some tags from his previous special. Jussie Smollett or Juicy Smollett, Smollier.
The another trans thing was he was mentioning that that trap that old woman set for him before the one you were telling about, the one in the bar where she came up to him and she was talking to him, and then she showed him a picture of her daughter, and she said, oh, she's beautiful, and then she said, she's trans, and then he said, oh, I couldn't have, that's too bad, I couldn't have shown my true feelings. Ew, gross, do you see her Adam's apple?
Oh, that was funny too when he was talking about that they. Oh, that was amazing. When someone said they after you, and he's like, you mean one they or many they?
Yeah, many theys.
Talking about the pronouns, but the trap, and it's so funny because no matter what, no one's gonna say that they're, oh, that's ugly. It's like, is that really a trap? That's kind of like what he was expressing. Is it really a trap?
Yeah.
And then he did open up a little bit about coronavirus, if you remember that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was basically saying that, he took it seriously, but he got it and it wasn't a serious thing. But I think that was after he got vaccinated, was it?
No, I don't know. I think he got vaccinated afterwards.
Oh, okay.
Well, all I know is that he said he got vaccinated. I'm not sure if it was before or after he got COVID.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, even if it was before he got vaccinated, people can, especially before the new variant, it was entirely possible for people to have no response to it.
Right. He said he had no response, like he wasn't sick at all, according to him. Mm-hmm. But one of the things he said about corona, I think he said he was at a club and some lady was near them without a mask, using all H words.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
And I think he said someone was recording them too.
Oh yeah, it was like a deliberately annoying thing to bait him into freaking out, and it worked.
Yeah.
That's when he realized he was yelling at a gay guy right after, when he was in the middle of doing it.
Called him a bitch ass N-word.
Yeah.
And he didn't know he was gay because that's a different. You would take those words differently, I guess, if you're gay. If you've been called a bitch ass N-word.
Yeah.
But it's I don't know. It's funny because he's like, yeah, I'm rich and famous, right in the beginning. Talking about the dirty Ohio white women that he likes.
Yeah, with dirty hippie white women
that don't wear any shoes or whatever.
Yeah. Make sure you walk around in the dirt before you get on the hippie stripper stage.
It's so funny. It's good stuff, and it's a little longer, I think, than it was an hour and almost an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think so.
So, man, I'm just trying to think of it in comparison with the other. I would have to say, because how many specials he had on Netflix? 4? 4, maybe?
4 or 5, yeah. I'm not sure if this is his 4th or 5th.
But I won't say that this is my favorite. There are some really clever jokes in this one. But man, that Juicy Smollier one was just... Oh, man.
Yeah, that might be my favorite, too. I don't know. It might be that one or I think maybe the second one.
Or the Alphabet People, maybe. Well, I think the Juicy Smollier and the Alphabet People is the same one.
Yeah, that's the same one, isn't it? Yeah.
I believe so. But man, like every single special that he does is just gold.
Definitely.
I guess there is one that he did, because there's some of them are very conversational. Like I think one of the specials he does at a real small club, and there's like a lot of social commentary in it. And then there's the other one where he makes fun of Candace Owens' pussy.
Oh yeah.
I would have to say that was probably one of my favorite jokes.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite jokes, but that one was like the most conversational and serious, I thought.
Yeah, because it was like right after George Floyd.
Yeah.
And that one was not released on Netflix. I think he just popped it up on YouTube, and it's not long. Yeah. It's less than 30 minutes.
Yeah, that was a short one. That wasn't a Netflix one too, like you said. It wasn't one of the Netflix ones.
Well, maybe he'll keep doing little things like that, at least.
Yeah, maybe.
To keep us thirsty, or not thirsty, but whetting our appetites. Yeah.
Right.
Because we were without Chapelle for a long ass time, and we had to make do with Kevin Hart, which obviously, like, people love Kevin Hart, but he's not even in the same league for me. Like,
yeah, I agree.
Because you have Dave Chapelle, who his delivery, like, the thing about Kevin Hart is, like, I think his delivery is too hyperactive for me. Like, he's like always screaming and yelling, and I don't know. I'm not that big of a Kevin Hart fan, but
I just don't find his jokes as funny as Dave Chappelle's.
No, me neither. They're just not. In my opinion, they're not. And it's just funny thinking of other comedians' deliveries. Like, I'm just thinking of Chris Rock. Like, one of his staples is that he makes a statement twice.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if you say, black people can be stingy. Black people can be stingy, and then he'll start a joke. Like, it's almost like he always starts his jokes off with making like the statement twice, But that's his thing. Almost like Seinfeld has this thing, It's kind of like their motif, their signature motifs. Some comedians just have that, and you have Chapelle. Well, it's like, what is? He doesn't have that. It's just him telling stories, He's telling jokes, but they're usually in lieu of a story. Because there's some comedians that just tell jokes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I guess Jeselnik, have you ever watched any of his specials?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he makes like super offensive jokes, but I would say
another one is Jimmy Carr. Like he's
Jimmy Carr?
He's a British guy. Have you seen him?
I've seen clips of him. He's like the British guy with like the dark hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen clips of him.
I think he's hilarious.
Who, Jimmy Carr?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many that are hilarious.
Yeah.
They all have their own different styles, and it's amazing. But I'll have to say Chapelle is definitely my favorite.
I'm not sure who's my favorite comedian. It's hard to say.
Well, whose comedy specials do you anticipate the most, typically, when you find out about them? Or
I guess I'd have a hard time choosing between, I would say, like, Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, and Bill Burr.
Yeah, Bill Burr is definitely, I would say, like, Bill Burr makes some pretty damn offensive jokes.
Yeah, he really does. His last one, Paper Tiger, I think it was, that was super fucking offensive.
Yeah, I think he got like they tried to cancel him or whatever.
Yeah,
but it's funny because Bill Burr's known for being like that. It's not a surprise when it comes out of Bill Burr's mouth.
For sure.
But I think people are just shocked because they're shocked about Dave Chappelle's because mainly before his Netflix specials, were there a lot of trans jokes that he was making? I don't quite remember him making a bunch of trans jokes.
I don't recall him making that many, I mean, he might have made a few, but I don't think he made a whole bunch.
Like, he didn't have specials dedicated to them, at least.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, Chappelle's the GOAT. He is like the Richard Pryor of our times. You know, he's I guess he's like to me he's like the Richard Pryor of our times.
I would agree with that. Dave, or like Richard Pryor or Eddie Murphy, it's hard to say.
Yeah, and it's weird because Eddie Murphy like stopped.
Yeah, he only specials, and those specials are both fucking awesome.
Yeah, so we're like, man, I guess he stopped because he wanted to do movies, or I don't know. Eddie Murphy's like a weird thing. Like the last thing with Eddie Murphy that I saw was Coming to America 2.
Oh yeah, I still haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, it's weird because it's kind of like, I don't know. It kind of makes me sad because everybody's old. It's like, damn, everyone's all old. Like,
yeah.
But it's, I don't know, if you ever watch it, you know what I mean. You're like, oh, everyone has gotten old. Like, Eddie Murphy is not like this, because he was like pretty good shape back then. And now in this new movie, he has like a dad bod, a belly. While the wife or the love interest from the first movie stayed hot, and then he let himself go. Yeah, she still looks good in the movie. I was like, man, she kept up with herself.
His hairline has receded a lot too.
Yeah, that because I think he has a pretty close shave now in that movie. But I don't know. You'd have to watch. I didn't even finish it. I think I watched about an hour of it.
Oh, okay.
So I could probably finish it tonight or something. But overall, is it his best special? In my opinion, there's some really, really good parts of it. But the last special, I think, was so much funnier.
Yeah, I agree.
In my opinion,
this one was like a little more. It was a little more serious than that last one and a few of the other ones. Like, I think he was like, some of that was because this was his last special, so he wanted to have like a really clear message, which he did a brilliant job of conveying, for sure, I think.
Right, and I think the last special, they actually the special before this one, they put Daphne Dorman in the credits, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
I think he put like in memory of Daphne Dorman.
And he did that with Norm Macdonald in this one, eh?
Yeah, Norm was at the end. Oh yeah, and it was like at the end I was trying to figure out all the people that he was hanging out with.
I couldn't recognize some of them. I recognized a lot of them, but like the really famous people, but I didn't recognize some of them.
Yeah, there were some obscure people that he was hanging out with. That's for sure. I know Rogan was in one of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he made fun of a trans lady by saying that she had a Rogan neck.
Yeah.
A
That's
chiseled
funny
jaw on a Joe Rogan neck.
Yeah.
Oh man, and there were so many trans jokes in this one. It was just
Yeah.
full of trans jokes.
Yeah,
And that's
definitely.
probably why the trans community was up in outrage in this time around.
Yeah, like like you can tell he definitely tried to be as offensive as he possibly could because he knows this is how I'm going out. This is my last special, so I'm gonna not hold anything back.
Yeah, and he said he was a TERF. I was like surprised.
Yeah, I was too.
I was like, really, a TERF? And a TERF is what, a trans exclusionary trans
Radical
E.
feminist.
What is E? Trans exclusionary radical feminist. That's what it means.
Yeah.
But he was just making his arguments, like Caitlyn Jenner, Woman of the Year, for only being a woman for a year. And
Yeah, how do you think that makes women feel who have been women their whole lives? I get that point.
Yeah. I bet the people who were like loving that at the time, because we know that typically there's a political skew of people who had favorable views of her getting that award. I bet they wish she got it taken back now because she's like a total Trumper.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I wonder if they wanted. I wonder if they still would have given it to her if they knew that she were a Republican and a Trump supporter.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I highly doubt it. I bet they see how dumb they are for. Oh, it's almost as if they did it for political reasons.
Yeah.
And if they had the chance, they would strip it away for political reasons.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's just dumb how they have to be super tribal about it. But even at the time, I thought it was dumb. Why? To me, I don't even get why she would get that award. Like, how? What?
She didn't even do anything. Like,
yeah, the only thing that she did was like come out.
Yeah,
that's all she did.
You get the award of woman for a year for coming out as transgender. Like, there are plenty of transgender people who have actually accomplished things for transgender rights. Why not those people?
Yeah, the thing that really, really pisses me off is you picked a reality star, a reality show star to be Woman of the Year. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You guys, it's just so ridiculous. Yeah. It just tells you how ridiculous American society is. Like, you're letting these, let's elect reality show people to office. Yeah, that did a really good job here on our democracy. Yeah.
Yeah. It worked out really well for everyone.
Yeah, worked out.
Even if you're a Trump supporter and you voted for Trump, would you say that American society has benefited from like just the time that he's been president? Even if you look at it as just like everyone being against him and everyone being turned against him, and even if you're like a QAnon person who thinks everyone is turned against him and there's this dark conspiracy of interdimensional child molesters, bro, and the black helicopters are coming.
Or as Dave Chapelle would say, Michigan white people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why would you pick? I have no idea. I guess it's the same reason why you would elect Arnold Schwarzenegger as a governor, but at least Arnold Schwarzenegger is like a decent person.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of people think that he actually did a fairly good job as governor. I don't know anything about other than that. I heard that about his political career.
Well, Gray Davis was doing such a shit job that Gray Davis. The one thing I remember about Gray Davis is In California, yearly, you have to register your vehicle, and usually, like a registration fee is like less than $100. It's usually not that much. And when Gray Davis was in office, he raised the registration fees. And before he went out, I think my last registration fee was like 400 something bucks.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was getting stupid. Like people were getting pissed off because he was raising like taxes and registration fees for driving and stuff. It's like, man, $400 is a lot. That's like if you are doing a car payment, that's like more than a car payment.
Yeah.
And this was like in the early 2000s, so it's
wow, holy shit.
Yeah, like $400 in the early 2000s. For some people, that's like half a paycheck.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money. Like in the early 2000s, that could be half of rent.
Yeah, I gotta go pee for a sec. I'll still be able to hear you though.
Okay, well,
yeah.
No problem.
I'm not bringing my laptop there with the camera.
Oh, you're not going to pull
pull a tube in?
Pull a tube in?
Yeah.
Pee into what did he do exactly?
We peed into a bottle and forgot to turn the camera off before standing up and pulling down his pants.
And that streamed live?
No, it didn't stream live. It was recorded, so it got edited out.
You edited it out?
No, that one was on his podcast.
Oh, so he edited it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh. Amazing. Amazing. Wow. How did he catch himself doing that? I guess you must have said something about it, and then he figured it out. Wonder what would happen if he had never said anything. That would have been hilarious. Okay, doke. So Dave Chapelle, the closer, his final Netflix special. It was good. I'm telling you, I highly recommend it. Go watch it. You got Netflix. It is amazing. It is not disappointing. Funny to the very end. But I'm gonna check into something. Let's see. Oh, there's a Wikipedia article on. Oh, this is a police drama, though.
On what?
There's a Wikipedia article about the closer. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. With that Tubin thing, by the way, I think I didn't say anything because I didn't want to disrupt the conversation while it was happening, and then I didn't say anything after because I was embarrassed about it, and I figured, well, he's good. He said he was going to watch it to edit it before he puts it out, so he'll find out.
So he didn't see it he didn't know about it until he edited it?
Yeah.
Wow. So was it recorded or streamed?
It was recorded.
Okay,
that's why
so no one ever went live.
Yeah.
And you didn't laugh or anything?
I just went like this.
You went like what? You put your hand over your face?
Yeah.
And he didn't notice?
No.
Oh, man. Wow. Did he mute himself instead of turning the camera off?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what he did.
He probably meant to do both, though.
Okay, so he does have, actually, I found out, he has like 3 small specials that were not on
Chapelle?
Netflix. So he had 3 specials. So he had one called 846, which is about that one was about
That's
George
the
Floyd.
YouTube one? Yeah.
Yeah, he had Unforgiven and Redemption Song. I know one of those 2 was about his Netflix deal.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure if
And
I've seen those 2.
like one of them, he talks about how the Chapelle show, like he makes no profit off of it whatsoever, but they're streaming it on a
Oh.
bunch of platforms.
Oh, I
And
didn't know that.
in that one, he was asking people to boycott watching the Chapelle show.
Oh.
Okay, so here are his Netflix specials. So they start in 2017. So we got The Age of Spin, Deep in the Heart of Texas, Equanimity, The Bird Revelation.
That's the
6.
2-part one.
Yeah,
Equanimity and the Bird Revelation.
And then Sticks and Stones, and then The Closer. So he did a pretty good chunk of them. He did a total of 6 specials for Netflix.
Okay.
And in between those specials, he did like the 3 short ones. And I guess 2 of the short ones are for IGTV.
And
that's basically Instagram, from what I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. So I have to watch them on Instagram?
I saw them on YouTube. I think someone, because I have watched both of those, and I believe someone uploaded those to YouTube, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay. I should check those out. I don't think I've seen those 2.
I think if you go to the Wikipedia page for Dave Chapelle, you could probably get access to those by looking at the sources.
Cool.
But let's see. So six, that's a lot of specials.
Yeah.
I think Netflix probably got their money's worth. Because
Yeah.
they paid them the big bucks for those.
Yeah.
Oh, someone hacking up a lung there. Did you mute yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Bob's getting a cold.
Oh no. Gotta take that vapor rub. Get that vapor rub and those cough drops. Halls.
Yeah.
Extra strength. That's the business. All right, so out of 5 stars, what are you going to give this one?
I'd give this one 4, I would say.
Yeah, I think a solid 4 is good. This is not the Jussie Smollett, but it's definitely funny. You're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
But it is not his best, but Dave Chapelle, compared to a lot of others, will still be higher, no matter which special that you're looking at.
There have been a few comedies or comedian specials I've watched that I've barely laughed at.
Yeah,
and didn't think were that funny.
Yeah.
None of Chapelle's.
None of Chapelle's. Yeah, there are some that are like, like who comes to mind? I think who was trying to make a comeback? Marlon Wayans was trying to make a comeback.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he has a Netflix special. It's on Netflix.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Adam Sandler's either.
I'm guessing that has to be pretty bad.
Probably.
I don't remember him being that great of a stand-up.
Apparently, back when he started off, before he even started doing movies, he started off as a comedian. Apparently, he was way funnier back then. It's like how he was way funnier in his earlier movies, like Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison, because he would get so outrageous and swear and get mad and do character voices and shit like that.
Well, from what I remember from his comedy, a lot of it was just silly songs sung in weird voices.
Yeah.
That's what I remember it being. I don't know what it would be now. Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I think it's called 100% Fresh, if I remember correctly.
Because I remember seeing Chris Tucker did a new one.
Oh yeah, I saw that he did that too. I haven't seen that one either.
I thought it was pretty decent.
Oh, okay. I kind of like assume that these comeback specials are not going to be good, but I still watch some of them sometimes. And I watched
Chris Rock's was all right.
Oh yeah, if that's the comeback one, I watched that one. Had it been a while since he did the last one?
Yeah, it's been forever since Chris Rock did a special.
Oh, okay.
That Netflix one was. Well, let me check Chris Rock here.
I thought he did like 2 relatively recent Netflix ones.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like before those 2, he hadn't done like a special in a while.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like the Netflix ones were like what I call the comeback ones. Let me check here.
Okay. Yeah, I like both of those.
Yeah, like a stand-up special before the Netflix one was in 2008.
Oh shit! Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a big 10-year, and then the Netflix one was in 2018. So there's a 10-year gap in between those 2.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. That's like as long as the Chapelle gap.
Yeah, pretty big. Because before then, he had his first one was in '94, and then he had one in '96, and then '99, 2004, 2008, and then that big 10-year gap.
Okay.
I'm sure that's probably the same thing for Chris Tucker. Let's check on Chris Tucker. He must have had a big gap too.
I don't think I've seen any of his comedy specials.
You never seen a Chris Tucker comedy special?
I don't think so.
Okay. He's had them. Oh, maybe he didn't do it. Well, oh, there we go. Yeah, there was the one on Netflix from 2015. That was the last special he did. He did another. Yeah, that was the last special he did. 2015. Okay.
But yeah, I've only seen him as a comedic actor in movies like the Rush Hour movies.
Yeah, he started off in like Def Comedy Jam, but I'm looking through, and he's been a host of like award shows. So you kind of have to be funny for those, but actually he doesn't really have. He only has 2. He doesn't have like a full-blown special. I think the Netflix one is like his first full 1-hour special.
Oh, okay.
I watched it. I remember I thought it was funny. I was laughing at it. But...
Okay. Wasn't he like one of those dudes who like hung out with Epstein a few times?
Well, actually, in his filmography, there's actually something here. Jeffrey Epstein, Filthy Rich. Yeah, so he did hang out with Epstein.
Yeah, that must be where I saw it.
Did you watch that documentary?
Yeah, I think we talked about this before.
This is the one on Netflix. Yeah, the series.
Yeah, I thought that documentary was interesting, but also really depressing because they mostly focused on like how horrible it was for all the women and the girls involved with it. And I like that book that I read about the whole thing more because it went into more of the details of like the pyramid schemes that he was setting up and all these like corrupt financial deals with shit and his like fucked up credentials that got him into the financial business. Although they go over that last part in the documentary.
Yeah. Yeah, the guy was like a complete fraud, like through and through.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He took himself out.
Allegedly.
Allegedly, no. He took himself out.
You think he did kill himself?
Why not?
This is one thing I'm really not sure about. I really don't know.
Suicide watch.
Yeah.
He was already on suicide watch. So they knew he was a potential for committing suicide. So if he's already on suicide watch, then yeah, I can believe that because the guards fucked up and didn't check up on him like they were supposed to, that he could have committed suicide.
This is why I'm really not sure about this. Like I'm ambiguous. I'm not convinced that he did kill himself, but I'm not convinced that he did not kill himself either. I really don't know.
If the powers that be were trying to cover everything up, they would have killed Ghislaine or whatever her name is too. And
Ghislaine?
She's still alive. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Ghislaine. They would have killed her too. She knows everything. She also knows everything.
They could have not been able to get to her, or there could be some other reason. Who knows? I don't know, man.
No.
And then there was I hate how I'm sounding like a conspiracy theorist here, but then there's the whole thing about that other coroner who examined the body and said that this could not have possibly been self-inflicted. And then I don't know how to I don't know how to fucking assess cause of death. That's why I don't know who to believe about that either.
Yeah, but who knows? Because usually when people hire a coroner, it could be that they're doing something for financial gain. As if you're hiring someone to to check a body out, then is it financially advantageous for them to say that they have wrongdoing? Because they're not doing it if you have to hire them, they're not doing it in an official capacity.
That's true.
But
then you could say, you could also say that the original coroner who did it could have been biased towards saying that it was a suicide too.
Yeah, but the guy was already on suicide watch, though.
And the thing that, and you know this because you know this better than me because you used to be a conspiracy theorist and you know all the tactics that they use. There's a lot of this stuff that could be just incompetence that people are seeing as conspiracy, like the guards being off duty and that whole thing about the missing video footage and whatnot. Yeah.
I am a security guard.
You are.
When I was a less attentive security guard, I definitely did shit like that. When I was a security guard in my early 20s, I spent most of my working hours asleep. Literally.
That's a common thing. Yeah, I guess that wouldn't surprise me.
And I did that for 8 years, spending half of the time sleeping when of course, you're not supposed to. I'm a responsible adult now, so I don't do shit like that anymore. But when I was young and I had very few responsibilities, to me, sleeping on the job was whatever, no one's going to find out. They did eventually, but it took them 8 years to do so.
Yeah.
So it's totally plausible from my end of a security guard sleeping and not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Man, we should do an episode about this with you and Chris and I, because a somewhat debate, because I think he's really convinced that he did not kill himself.
I think he killed himself. Like, the guy was gonna rot in prison, and you gotta think of like what his lifestyle was like before he got into prison. His life, he had like tons of money, got to do whatever he want. You know, flying all these underage girls like a lech. And then he was probably going to get his ass beat in prison, to be honest. That was not going to be
or worse.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be a fun time for the guy. So, because usually anytime the people who get fucked up prison is the people who fuck with kids. So he was not going to have a good time in prison. So and I'm kind of surprised that the first time he went to jail, well, it wasn't even jail. What was it, house arrest?
Yeah.
Jesus, man. There's so much corruption there that it's ridiculous.
Like he could basically just go around doing stuff all the time.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. And it's almost like what Kyle Kalinske says. You should charge corruption like just as hard as you charge like the worst crimes.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with him about that, because
depends on how much that causes harm.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what issue is the person being corrupt about? Like, are we talking about corruption leading to war that kills hundreds of thousands of people, which you could argue for like the Iraq and Afghanistan wars? Is that like the equivalent to mass murder? I kind of think that you can at least make that argument pretty fucking convincingly, for sure. But then, like, there are other cases of corruption where maybe you're, I don't know, through some form of your corruption, your manager at work doesn't care if you steal a pen or some shit like that, and that's like nowhere near as worse as murdering someone. Are you getting a call there?
Yeah, hold on.
Okay. Yeah, I think it depends on the type of corruption we're talking about. And Kyle Kalinske talks about it in terms of political corruption. And in terms of some of the political corruption he's talking about, I can see, I could see someone justifying someone getting like 25 years in prison or whatever they would get for a murder for some types of political corruption, for sure. Like lying America into war and shit like that too. Like, if George W. Bush and Dick Cheney and all of those people involved as the architects of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan had spent the rest of their life in prison after that, I would have no problem with that.
Well, it's almost like if they're going to charge for corruption, I think you could probably go ahead and make them an accomplice. Like, say if the corruption resulted in a crime, then that whoever is being charged with corruption would have a comparable sentencing to like being an accomplice of a crime.
Yeah.
But I guess that would also depend on how much awareness they would have of that crime too. But still, you know, it's corruption. If it led down to something horrendous, then I think there should be some type of accountability for that.
Yeah.
All right. So did you want to get into the what have you been reading portion of our show?
Yeah, sure. I finished reading that long book that I was reading on intersectionality for research for our upcoming chat with Peter Salmon about critical race theory and public intellectuals like James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson and the intellectual dark web spreading misinformation about topics like critical race theory, critical theory, the Frankfurt School, postmodernism, and Marxism. And like I was saying before, I actually thought it was fairly interesting. Like, some of it was cringe, but some of it was actually interesting and surprising, and some of it made sense too. The stuff that was interesting and surprising, some of it I agreed with, some of it I disagreed with, but I found it interesting because it came from a different angle than I thought it did. And then, like, sometimes authors I've heard criticized, their arguments sound nothing like the way that they've been portrayed, either because they come to the same conclusion but for a totally different reason, or they don't even say anything even remotely like that. So yeah, it was interesting for sure. It'll be.
So you said it was intersectionality?
Yeah, it's just called intersectionality. It's like a compilation of a whole bunch of different academics who have written about basically all of those types of studies that people like James Lindsay criticize all the time, like feminism and critical race theory and like queer studies, women's studies, all those sorts of things.
Okay. Well, I don't know. There are people just like crazy, especially in the comment section of your video there.
I know, right?
And it's like, okay, like I totally understand that there's flaws to this shit. It's obvious, but there's also some interesting aspects to it.
I think the my biggest criticism of critical race theory is the one that a lot of hard lefty progressives or socialists have, which is that it focuses too much on race as like a single factor or the most important factor by all, and it ignores like class issues in particular. I would say that would be my biggest criticism of the intersectionality book, at least. Like, in all of these studies, some of the people mentioned class as a problem, but more often than not, it focused much more on, I would say, like, discrimination based on race and gender were the ones that they focused on the most by far.
Well, when it comes to CRT specifically, like, I have no problem whatsoever of them focusing on race specifically, because if you want to analyze something with along the lines of class issues, you could just use a different school of thought to do that.
That's true.
Uses those specific arguments, and it's not like you can't use multiple schools of thought to look at one problem. It's probably what I would say the best way to do things is to look at multiple schools of thought to look at a single problem.
That's actually one of the good things about intersectionality, in my opinion. Like, it depends. Like, people use the word differently, which is one of the confusing things about these subjects. But like, a lot of the goal behind intersectionality is kind of like a more multidisciplinary approach to examining social issues. Yeah,
because I know people complain intersectionality as the thing about intersectionality is that it's hyper individualistic, which is really interesting.
Yeah,
because people call it, like, a lot of the criticisms I've heard from the right are like, oh, this collectivist, blah blah blah, but intersectionality is like hyper individualistic. It's based off of the intersection of identities and the experience that can happen. So it's not like saying, oh, this whole group of people shares the same experience. It's like, oh, because you have these many identities, your experience is going to be very different from this person over here. You know, it's and that's what people get wrong about it for the most part.
Yeah, definitely.
But there's a lot of bullshit, but that shit's so fringe and stupid. And I've criticized woke bullshit. You've criticized woke bullshit.
That's what this whole fucking podcast is about, basically, right? Like, Dave Chappelle's comedy special is all about fucking criticizing cancel culture and woke bullshit.
Yeah, and I had a conversation with somebody today about Columbus Day, and it's now being called Indigenous Peoples Day here, and people are going to decry, oh, it's still Columbus Day, this is woke bullshit. And then you got to explain to them what Columbus actually did when he arrived at these places.
And like fucking engaged in mass genocide and rape of people, a whole bunch of people. Like,
yeah, and he had gold quotas, and if you didn't meet those quotas, your hands got chopped off and you bled out to death. You know, Columbus was not, and you know, people argue, oh, you know, that's just the times. But I also read this article, like even for the times, I think the Queen of Spain or whoever he was a benefactor for issued an arrest warrant for him for being
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah, so he was not, like, what he did at those times were not sanctioned. I think the Queen said is he wanted to meet the he wanted him to meet up with the natives and try to cooperate with them, not kill them and enslave them. And I think many of the explorers at that time didn't go the Columbus route, because the route really was, if you meet these peoples, you got to convert them to Christianity or Catholicism at the time. And he didn't attempt to do that. He just he enslaved them and made them look for gold and rapey. So he was not a good person. It's not woke bullshit. The guy, if you know your history, the guy was a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
That even his benefactor who funded the trip wanted him arrested. That's how bad it was.
Yeah. Well, and there were like, it was part of the times back then for people to be for people to be really racist against Native or Indigenous people, of course, but not all of them, like far from all of them, engaged in mass genocide of them and like mass raping and shit like that and mass slavery.
Right. Most of it was accidental genocide, not like deliberate genocide.
Like viruses that they brought?
Yeah, like spreading like viruses that they couldn't contend with. And a lot of the times, whenever the explorers were going out, they were sent on missionary missions or mission. Like a lot of the times, their mission, if they were to stumble upon quote unquote uncivilized peoples, they were supposed to try to convert them to Catholicism. Like
the civilized religion.
Yeah, like, you know, you know what I mean. So I don't know. Columbus was not a good person, and changing it to Indigenous Peoples Day, in my opinion, is not bullshit. Like, the guy was a piece of garbage. So, like, seriously, he's not a good person.
No.
It's the same thing with the Confederate monuments. Like, all of those monuments were erected like in the 60s during Jim Crow as a statement towards the civil rights movement.
Yeah.
You know,
it's there. It's like how in the like when you take an oath in court, I think it was like in the 50s or the 60s during McCarthyism that the language "in God we trust" or under God was added to that as a reaction to like paranoia about communism. Although there were actually literally communist spies a little bit, but that was exaggerated, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's like some of it is woke bullshit, but not everything is woke bullshit. Like, yeah, I learned when I was a little kid in elementary school. Oh yeah, Columbus, 1492. Oh yeah, and then I watched the movie 1492, where Columbus is played by Gerard Depardieu or whatever that French guy's name is. Depardieu, is that his name?
Depardieu.
He's French, right?
Must be.
Gerard Depardieu. And then in that, he was like friendly with natives. And it's a total propaganda piece. It didn't go down that way at all. So, Columbus wasn't that good a person. I wonder if they're still teaching Columbus in elementary school. I don't think they are anymore.
Well, you could teach about him, but teach like accurate history about him.
Yeah, but accurate history, you can't teach accurate history about Columbus to like kindergartners or first graders. Like,
why not wait until they're older?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When I was in early elementary school, they were teaching us about Christopher Columbus and
he's a great guy that discovered America.
Yeah, we even have a holiday, named after him. Well, I used to. Well, because it's still on the books as either or. But my guess eventually they're just going to cut out Columbus completely. He's such a horrible person. You really should not have a holiday dedicated to him.
Yeah.
And he really wasn't the first person to discover America anyway.
For sure.
It was like, I think it was Leif Erikson, like some Viking dude.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Oh, well. Yeah, so that's it for bullshit. But intersectionality, cool. What else did you read?
Yeah. So I also read this super long and boring philosophy, a famous one by Kant, his one called Critique of Pure Reason. I read like a few of his other shorter books, and this is like a famous and seminal work in philosophy, but it's so fucking boring and way too detailed for me. And like, me, I can get through some really fucking abstract and verbose philosophy, but this was like even harder for me to get through than something like Deleuze, who is way more abstract and verbose than Foucault and Derrida. I thought this one was so boring.
Was it abstract or is it just verbose?
It was just verbose. It was like pretty clear, but he would go into like, okay, there's this type of knowledge and this type of knowledge, and within these types of knowledge, there are these ways to derive this type of knowledge and these ways to derive this type of knowledge. And what this means is that this is that this has to do with this, and this impacts that, and that impacts this, and this impacts that. Like, holy shit, man, this is way too goddamn much. Like, oh, holy shit, get to the fucking point.
Oh, you need like a conspiracy theory chart just to like figure out what he's talking about?
Yeah, basically.
Oh, man.
I took a whole bunch of notes on it, and I probably will do like a video series on it. That's why I was taking notes on it, but I eventually just bailed. So I might still do a video series on it. Yeah, I did bail. I bailed like a third of the way through after trying it 3 times because I'm like, holy shit, this is exhausting. I like studying books and taking notes on them, but this is like too much.
Oh, wow. Well, we'll see if you pick that up again.
Yeah.
Right.
I also just recently started reading one called A Dangerous Fortune by Ken Follett, who I read, I think I read 2 or 3 of his other books. There was my favorite one. Well, this one is about, basically a murder mystery and deals with conspiracy and deception. I barely started it. I haven't gotten that far into it. Oh yeah, I think we were talking about that yesterday. And so far it's interesting. Like, it's about a guy who goes to live with a different family in the late 1800s. And so far it's just about like culture shock mostly, because he moved from Britain to the US, and he has trouble like making it because his dad is a gambler, and he starts off as a teenager and then he gets a little older. But it starts off really slowly, but I'm starting to like it because the part I just finished reading today before I stopped for the day was a part where he goes to his first brothel, and he's a virgin, so he comes in his pants when a prostitute just like grabs his dick through his pants.
Oh man. And what's the
Yeah.
name of this book?
A Dangerous Fortune.
Okay, I saw that you
Yeah.
had read that.
Yeah, and I read of a few of this author Ken Follett's other books. My favorite one by him is The Man from St. Petersburg, which is about, I think it's about an anarchist terrorist in France during the women's suffrage movement, which was really interesting because it all took place from his perspective, or at least a lot of it did. And I think there's another one of his that I think I might have told you about before. It was basically kind of like semi-historical about this guy who gets accused of being a Russian spy, but and so he is a fugitive, but he's not actually a Russian spy. And then he finds out that the people who are helping him are are just acting like they're helping him, and they're actually the ones who secretly accused him of being a Russian spy, and they're the Russian spies. And this takes place during McCarthyism in the 50s and during like the Cold War and the space race between America and Russia. And it's about the Russian spies trying to stop a shuttle from being launched by NASA, basically. So that one was interesting too. But I like the one about the anarchist terrorist more. And then I tried reading like his most famous book that's supposed to be his best, called The Pillars of the Earth. But that one I just found boring. There wasn't really that much that happens. It's just like about, it seemed to me about like rich people going around in rich culture and having romance issues and stuff, which, so I didn't really like that one. But yeah, he's a good author. He's a good author overall, I'd say. And I haven't been reading that much else lately other than
No
yesterday.
Longer Eddies.
Yeah, I was gonna say yesterday I read that one in the forget what series it's called, but
I think it's just called the Africa trilogy.
Africa trilogy. Yeah.
I think that's what
that was
interesting.
I'm not a huge fan of those books, but in all of them I would say just like the experiencing the African tribal cultures and the ways that they live is interesting. So I didn't like this one as much as the first one, because in this one he like basically goes to a European colony of some kind and tries to adjust to that lifestyle. So he's no longer in that culture, he's in the new culture and struggling to try to make it there. So it was less interesting to me, but it was interesting for kind of the culture shock aspect of it.
Okay. And I saw that you added Death Note to your to-read list.
Oh yeah, I saw that someone else had read that.
That's a good series. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I've heard you speak favorably about it before. Yeah, I definitely want to read that too. And then today I listened to A Briefer History of Time, which is the even shorter version of Stephen Hawking's famous book called A Brief History of Time, which is actually really just a brief history of science and more specifically physics, which I thought was really interesting because I do read a lot of books and learn a lot, but I don't learn about the hard sciences so anywhere near as much as I used to. So it's good to kind of like update my knowledge and remind myself of just like basic physics and stuff like that every once in a while. And it is really fascinating when you can just hear physicists talk about it and you don't have to actually figure out any of the math for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
So yeah, I think that's all I've been reading lately.
All right. Yeah, I only read 3 books, I think, since the last time we spoke. So I finished the Brett and Heather's book. I ended up giving it 2 stars. I should have known. I thought it was just going to be mostly just about evolutionary biology. But just reading the title, it's like, okay, yeah, it is a self-help book. So there's a bunch of like self-help in here that I find pretty boring. You know, a very Peterson-esque type of self-help. Not so much about the political philosophy of things, but it's the same type of self-help. They just try to tie it into evolutionary biology principles. So it's very similar
Yeah,
advice.
I think you were telling me that before. They got into dating advice and shit like that. That's where it started to go downhill.
Yeah, so I was teetering on 3 stars, but there's just the last part of the book was just, are you kidding me with this shit? So, they started talking about postmodernism and yeah, you just went down to 2. I'm sorry, guys.
Every time someone says postmodernism, I just go in my head, wait for it, believe that there is no truth. I knew they were gonna say that. I knew it.
Right. Basically, yeah, there's that. And I also read 2 Expanse books.
Oh,
Man,
cool.
I'm starting to really love the series. I'm on book 4 right now.
Oh, cool.
But I had
What did you
finished.
think? Do I remember correctly that I think I said that I liked 4 less than 3 and I found it slower, didn't I? But I liked 3 was one of my favorites, I think.
Yeah, so 2 is about Avasarala and the political machinations and them battling the second bioengineered version of the protomolecule that gets unleashed at Ganymede Station. So, and that wipes out her whole crew except her.
I'm getting a bit
And
of feedback on your audio.
oh, what about now?
Now it's
You getting
better.
some feedback? Okay, so first one is about the Ganymede situation. Third book is about one of the Mao children trying to get revenge on Holden, and them also finding these rings that open up to new worlds. The fourth book, the one that I'm on now, that I probably will finish by the end of the night, is about one of the worlds that they attempt to colonize. And it goes batshit crazy in this book. So
Yeah, it
much
does.
stuff happens at the end. I'm not done with it, but it gets to the point where you have this crazy ass, psychotic security commander who just does not give a shit about anything except doing his job, which is kind of fucking ridiculous considering everyone's going to die. It seems everyone's going to die, and he's concerned about some stupid bullshit that nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah.
They're also something blew up on the planet, so they're the whole town gets wiped out. They're huddling in these alien ruins, and then there's these slugs that attack them. That if they touch them, they go into paralytic shock and die. And not only that, they're also going blind. Everyone's going blind. So there's a bunch of shit that's happening. And then their ships lose fusion power. So they're about to crash into the atmosphere. It's just Jesus, this is probably the book that has the most crazy shit happening all at once. One bad thing happens, and then one bad thing happens, and they're all accumulating into worse and worse things. So right now, I'm at a part where Holden has, and here's what I like too. There's this, the alien Miller is really interesting. The Miller character comes back, and he's kind of this alien ghost that appears to Holden. Because the first book, Miller was my favorite character, and I was like, oh man, he died at the end. That sucks. And then the second book, Avasarala is my favorite. the third book, I didn't really have much of a favorite character. I really liked the Bull character. He was the guy that was on the Behemoth, which is the Nauvoo. So it's basically a repurposed generation ship that the Mormons wanted to use to go out in space, and they turned it into a warship.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And this guy named Bull, he's like a no-nonsense like security leader, and I think one of the first things he does is he spaces like a drug dealer, and then he mutinies against like the captain. So there's like all this crazy shit going on. Like all these books are crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, I'm on the fourth book. I'm really enjoying it. And you said that the other books aren't as good as these first four?
I would say so, yeah. In my opinion.
Yeah, well, I'm really liking this one. Lots of high stakes. Like I don't know how to explain it, but this fourth book, it's like, how the fuck are they going to survive all this shit? It's like the planet, half the planet blew up, and they don't have any more supplies. They're running out of food. They don't have any power. When they try to like send supplies to the planet, there's like alien defenses on the moons that shoot shit out of the sky. It's like, Jesus. Wow. So I'm guessing they're going to resolve this by the end of the book, but I'm like, wow, this is a total shitstorm that's going on. And then Holden hasn't gotten any sleep in like 2 weeks or some shit like that. He's been like high off of him. Like he's been doped up for like 2 weeks, and everyone thinks he's like insane because he keeps saying that aliens are talking to him, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true, aliens are talking to him. And I really like this fourth book because they're like in an alien world. So there's all these like weird creatures and architecture, and we're kind of learning more about how extremely advanced this alien species is.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, and like right now the big thing is in the air. It's like, yeah, they got wiped out. So as advanced as they were, something came and wiped them out. It's like, wow. I have a hypothesis, but I don't want you to say anything. But my hypothesis is they wiped themselves out. That's what I think. I think they went to war with each other, and they just wiped each other out.
I don't think I've actually found out yet in the series.
Well, the series isn't over, so maybe they really haven't said anything about it.
I think I have like 3 more books. Yeah. But they're going beyond what they've published, you mean?
Oh, well, yeah. The series isn't done. So there are more books to come. I think they're on book 9. I don't know what they're intending, like how long the series is going to be. But I'm loving it right now. So because I'm loving the books, I've also started the series again, and I'm loving that as well. I was like, man, Miller's the shit. I love Miller.
Sweet.
First season, Miller is awesome.
And, I saw that season 6 of the show is supposed to come out soon too.
Yeah, season 6 is going to be the final season, and the showrunners have said, because they had to make some changes, some major changes, because they killed off one of the characters from the books that doesn't get killed off in the show. I'm not going to tell you because I don't want to spoil it for you.
Okay.
But one of the characters got killed off in the show because in real life they had some type of allegations made against them, and they got canceled. Someone from the show got canceled, yes. So yeah, someone got canceled off that show.
I hope that's not what happened to the first actor who was playing Matt in Wheel of Time and was only there for 1 season and now is no longer.
I don't think so. If he got canceled, it would have came out that he got canceled. Like, we would have heard about it. I was easily able to find out why this happened. I wish I didn't Google it, but I found it, which kind of spoiled some show bits for me.
Oh.
But yes, one of the characters got canceled, and they had to kill him off on the show. But the sixth season is going to be the final season, so they are supposed to cover up to the first 6 books. Interesting thing, though, about this series is that the first season and a half covered just the first book. But they sprinkle in some characters that are introduced in the second book. So right from the beginning, you get to see Avasarala, but she's not introduced until book 2. And then at the start of season 2, you get to see Draper, who's the female Martian Marine. You see her in season 2, but in season 2, the very beginning of season 2 is still in the season book 1. So she shows up earlier than in the books.
Okay.
But right now in the show, I'm on the episode. I just finished the episode where Miller gets to the heart of what's that? EOS? EOS? Is it EOS?
Oh, yeah. I don't remember how it's pronounced.
The EOS station. And he sacrifices himself and talks to the alien infected Mal. What's her name? Something Mal. And he convinces her to crash the asteroid on Venus. And you see them go down in a big old explosion or whatever. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see Miller back again in his ghost form and everybody else.
Yeah.
But you haven't started the show, have you?
No, I had too many shows to watch. And I still got it.
It's very good. It's a good show.
I've still got to watch season 5 of Castlevania and also Squid Game too.
Yeah, that's true. I already watched Squid Game. I need to watch Castlevania. I probably will watch an episode tonight at least. But man, Expanse is such a good show. I love it.
I bet I will too. If you
you're gonna like it a lot.
Everyone I've heard talk about it says that it's at least comparable to the books. Like it's a really good show, even if they don't like it as much as the books.
I think it's really good for what it is. Like there are some things that they go more in depth in, and some things that they just kind of leave alone. But yeah, I've been loving it so far because I've watched the first season twice.
Okay.
Because I watched the first season, I was like, "Oh, this is a really cool show," and then I found out there were books about it. And I started the first book, and then I watched the first season again. And I'm in the second season now, and I think I'm comfortable enough that I could probably watch the end of second season and not catch up with any of the books because I'm almost done with this book 4.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the last little bit of it, and then I want to go right into book 5 as soon as I finish. I'm just like hooked into it right now.
Sweet. I can't remember whether I've read the first 5 or 6 books.
You said you asked for Persepolis Rising.
Yeah, I haven't read that one yet. The last one I read was Babylon's Ashes.
So Babylon's Ashes, let's see. Babylon's Ashes. That is book 6. So if you finish book 6, you can comfortably watch the show without getting anything spoiled.
Okay, cool.
And I'll be probably reading books 5 by tomorrow. So I'm catching up to you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Gonna read those novellas too, eh?
Yeah, I forgot about those. I just want to. You know what? I have to see which novellas I can read, because I know some of them are between certain stories. You have to look them up on.
Am I okay to read read them after I read book 7, Persepolis Rising? If you don't get me book 8 before then.
Well, I gotta check and see.
Okay.
Because they have, if you go to Goodreads, it'll tell you like where they are at chronologically.
Okay.
As I think a lot of them are prequels. The Churn, like for instance, it's chronologically it's 0.3, but it's called the Expanse 3.5 because it was written after book 3.
Okay.
The Butcher of Anderson Station, another prequel. We already know what that's probably about Fred Johnson. But yeah, I highly recommend the show. You know, lots of Sasa. I think I have to answer people like that. Sasa. Belter patois, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Some of the belters though are annoying. You're gonna see this kid that's super annoying. Hey, Sasa, you know how they talk. You'll get to see how the belters talk in the show. It's almost like they're talking like Cajun or something.
Interesting.
Kind of reminds me of like how Cajun people speak.
Okay. That's interesting. That's actually like some of my heritage comes from there, because my grandma on my dad's side of the family who moved to Canada from the US when my dad was a kid, his mom grew up in Louisiana.
Oh, okay. And they're like Cajun parts of Louisiana?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any specifically Cajun in our culture though, actually. I'm not sure.
All right, so one of the books I gave you, Strange Dogs, you can read that now. One of the books named Auberon, you cannot read that because it happens after book 7. So there are some of these that you wouldn't be able to read. And I gave you Auberon too.
Okay. Sweet.
But all the other ones, I believe you can read already.
Okay. I'll probably just read Persepolis Rising and then read those.
Let's see. The Expanse 10. So the 10th book came out?
Oh, that's out now too? Oh, okay.
Well, it's showing up on Goodreads. Let me make sure that's true. Memories Legion.
There was at least one.
Only has 2 reviews, so maybe it's not really out. It might be on pre-release or something.
Yeah, I told you about one of the Ender ones before that because it was on Goodreads and you said it wasn't out yet, right?
Which one?
I think it's like wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was the.
No, it was
book
one
3
of the.
Book 3 in the Second Formic War.
Yeah, that one's not out yet.
Yeah.
That one is pending. Yeah, Memories Legion, the complete Expanse story collection. It's the 10th book. Oh, it's going to be a collection of short stories.
Oh,
so it's just going to be an anthology.
Cool.
Okay, so it's not even like the next book in the story. Let me see if this is a complete thing then. But yeah, the Expanse, sci-fi. You know, I like sci-fi and I like my fantasy.
Me too.
That's the mark of a true nerd.
Definitely. We are both proud nerds.
I'm saying there's only 8 books in the Expanse. Is that right?
I thought there were.
I thought there were
at least 9.
Let me check Wikipedia. The Expanse. It's a series of science fiction novels and related novellas and short stories. Oh, there's one that... Okay, the next one is supposed to be called Leviathan Falls.
Oh, that sounds like the end of the series.
That's probably it. And this is due to be released on November 30th, 2021.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
being
really
released
soon.
this year, yeah.
Okay.
Is Leviathan Falls the last book? I think is that kind of our question here. Leviathan Falls. I'm going to ask that question. Is Leviathan Falls the last book? Yes, it is.
Oh, okay.
So the next book, Leviathan Falls, will be the final book.
Okay.
So Leviathan Wakes and Leviathan Falls bookend the book series. All right.
Okay.
Well, it looks like we'll be able to completely finish the series soon.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, let me see when this thing started. When was the first book written? First book was written in 2011. Jesus, this guy is just writing a book a year.
Wow.
Yeah, they've been writing a book a year pretty much. So every single year there's been a Expanse release, except 2018 and 2020. So 2018, so between 7 and 8 there were 2 years, and between 8 and 9 were 2 years.
Okay.
So that took a little bit of time for their last 2 releases, but there's been a lot of short stories and novellas in between then.
Cool.
But there's no novella for 2018 and no novella for 2020, so they took a break there too.
Okay.
But yeah, it's almost done.
So what else did you read?
That's it. The Expanse and of course, Winter's Heart. I've been working on that.
How far are you?
Barely in chapter 2, but that prologue is like 2 hours long.
Oh, okay. Is that one of the ones that's one of the longest prologues?
It has a long ass prologue. Like, you know how when you open, well, I don't know if you use a Kindle or not, but when you're reading on a Kindle, it tells you how long it takes you to read a chapter, and the prologue literally is like 2 hours and like 20 minutes. That's how long. That's how long it took me to read that.
Yeah,
prologue.
That must be really long. Because you read much more slowly than me. But even if even at my speed, that might be like 200 pages or something.
Maybe. I'm not sure. Yeah, my speed. I guess my speed is probably normal. But then again, sometimes when I'm reading these books, I'm like nodding off, and I need to actually. When I start to nod off a book, I need to not power forward, which is what I tend to do.
Because then you don't remember what you read.
Right. So when I nod off in the book, on the first nod off, I need to like actually put the book down and go to sleep instead of trying to continue to read it. I don't know. I just have that weird thing where I got to finish until I finish the chapter, even though when I wake up again or read it again, I'm just going to have to reread that entire section.
That's why I started doing my reading earlier in the day.
Yeah, well, I wish I could. I just really only get the chance to do it like when I'm in bed.
Yeah, that's understandable.
But yeah, I just been watching The Expanse and a Turkish soap opera called.
Oh, really?
Yeah, called Love, Black Money Love.
Okay.
And I'm almost done with it. Me and my wife have been watching it.
Oh, okay. What do you think of it?
It's juicy. When I say soap opera, it's like the main character is a cop, and there's like the main bad guy's a mob boss, so it's not like, oh, it's just all about relationships and, people get shot up and there's like action and shit in it, but it's still like a soap opera.
Okay.
But it's basically you follow a police officer and he's investigating who killed like his fiance, and a lot of shit happens between him and finally putting that guy behind bars. Like we're at episode 155, and he barely now has put that particular person in jail that he's been trying to put in jail the entire show.
Okay.
Well, there's only 162 episodes. I'm like saying only as in that's a meager amount of episodes. It's not. This is 162 episodes, and each episode is about 40 to 50 minutes long. I didn't start from the beginning. I started at episode like 99 or something, and I had my wife fill in like all the stuff that I missed because I was like watching the show. I was like, "What the hell are you watching?" There's like people having shootouts and stuff. Like, oh yeah, it's this drama, and then I really got hooked into it because there's a lot of crazy drama stuff that happens, and like it's getting like really ridiculous though. Like at this point, like the big boss, like mafia boss guy, like kidnapped the cop's fiance and put her in like a escape room that has deadly consequences. So it's getting really wacky. And she's like in an escape room and they're trying to find out the clues on how to get out. And then there's the guy that runs that mob organization has like dead bodies that pop out of the walls and shit in this escape room. Wow. I'm telling you, it's starting to get wacky. And I told my wife that, and I was like, man, this show's starting to get really wacky and ridiculous now. I guess because it's gotta end soon, they're just getting really crazy with like the stuff. Like, wow, like this would ever happen in real life. And I believe the reason why the guy kidnapped the girl was because his son tricked him. Oh, there's so much crazy ass shit. The dad has a son. His son is the product of rape, and the son wanted to. Well, first he's pretending to get in good graces of the father in order to exact revenge on him. And what he wanted to do was make sure that he wrote him as an adopted son so that once he kills him, he can get all of his inheritance and all that, like steal his money. But the father found out that he was trying to double cross him. So he takes his son's wife and puts her in that escape room. It's a crazy ass show, man. It's called Black Money Love. But
I was gonna ask if you were watching it for like the inadvertent comedy. Maybe at this point it's starting to get that way.
This point it is. When I first started watching it was because of I don't know. I guess these Turkish dramas just kind of hook you in. It's almost like a guilty pleasure. Like sometimes you'll see something like 90 Day Fiance on, and there's almost like weird manufactured drama that kind of hooks you in to whatever's going on. But in this case, like I started to get invested in some of the characters, and then one of the characters gets shot and killed, and it's kind of like a shitty moment. So I don't know. It's not for anybody. And the only reason I'm watching this is because my wife enjoys it. So we have something like to talk about, like, oh, did you see? Because sometimes she'll watch ahead, and then I'll watch ahead while I'm at work. I'll watch like a couple episodes, and then we'll talk about it. It's like, oh, did you see this and that? And like when we're watching it, we try to make like predictions of what's going to happen next. It's like, yeah, he's going to do this next. Watch. He's going to poison his mother because of blah blah blah. You know, trying to predict what's going to happen next in the drama. But that's it. I just been watching that and Expanse and One Piece. I started watching.
Oh, I've heard that's really good.
Yeah, it's something that Daniel Green was watching, and I've heard about it for a while, and it's on Netflix, so I decided to check it out. I know the beginning is it kind of reminds me of like Dragon Ball Z, at least like the main character is kind of like super naive and strong at the same time. That seems to be a big combination. Have a really naive like main character, but they're also very strong. So they can get out of pickles even though they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
That seems like a common part of the hero's journey trope.
Yeah. But it's not super serious. Like there's a lot of comical stuff that happens in this show. Well, at least so far. But a lot of these shows start out comical and then they start getting much more serious. I'm kind of expecting that from the show. But yeah, that's what I've been checking out lately, and of course, I'm trying to do Castlevania.
Right. Yeah. Hard to do that. I will probably watch another episode of that tonight too, at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch one. Before night's end.
On a totally different note, I just remembered too. I forgot to tell you that Peter Salmon, he said that a week from yesterday, next Friday, he could do that Critical Race Theory chat with us.
All right, so I'll try to get up early on Friday so that I can get all my grocery shopping out of the way as early as I can.
All right.
So that I'll be able to do it without interruption and stuff like that.
Cool.
All right, so I guess we can go ahead and start wrapping it up. Did you have any plugs you wanted to throw out there?
Yeah, check out my YouTube channel, Mindgasms, where Dusty and I and others talk all the time. Yesterday, our newest one was we were talking about 2 Isaac Asimov stories called The Last Question and The Last Answer about a supercomputer called Multivac that basically survives the heat death of the universe and becomes God. And in the second one, creates an afterlife and brings a mathematician to the afterlife to solve math problems eternally. And then the mathematician decides that he wants to kill God. And those are really awesome stories. And check out tomorrow too. We do a movie chat on Blade, which we've been meaning to do for a while, but I keep not being ready early enough, so should be able to finally do that tomorrow. And check out I'm on the social media at Andrew Mindgasms or Andrew Meintzer, and check out my Patreon at Mindgasms and my blog at mindgasms.theblogpress.com, where there are chapters of my novel that I'm writing and short stories and poems and blogs about a lot of the ideas that we often talk about, like philosophy and popular culture and science fiction and fantasy and history and whatnot. And yeah, that's all my stuff there.
All right, cool, man. So yes, join us tomorrow for the Blade chat. We'll be talking about confusion. That, and we'll finally get to speak about that. And next week, if nothing fails, we should be starting Castlevania Season 4. I'm also probably, man, I don't want to cut my... I think I'm going to read all the way up to book 6 for The Expanse. and then start the next Sword of Truth book.
Okay. So
you want to do
that? You want to do that one like 2 weeks from now or something like that?
Yeah, I'm guessing about 2 weeks. Okay. Hopefully.
Just give me like a week. Give me like a week to read it, maybe, because I'll probably listen to that one as an audiobook again.
Okay. Yeah, because I know the second book was long as hell.
Yeah, it was.
I have all 3 of these. I actually have the physical copies of book 2 and 3. I still listened to them, but man, is book 2 thick.
Yeah. Yeah, I read when I read the first 3 originally, I read them as physical books. So I wanted to listen to the first 3 as audiobooks this time, and then I have physical copies of a bunch of the other ones. So if we end up going any farther, I'll read those ones as physical books.
I think we may, because I'm like, okay, this series isn't as bad as some people say. I think it's just a bias. Because
we both liked book 2 a lot more than 1, right?
Yeah, I thought book 2 was pretty decent. And book 1 wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was okay, but book 2 was pretty decent, and and I was like, man, Daniel Green just really hates this book.
Yeah, he really does.
I get it. He's definitely biased because he talked. Cherry Goodkind talked some mad shit about Robert Jordan.
And fantasy in general.
And fantasy in general, yeah. But I'll give him his fair shake, and I think that book 2 is not bad. It's fucking fantasy. I don't know what's wrong with Terry Goodkind where he can't just say his shit's fantasy. It's
it really is fantasy.
It's like, what the hell is he talking about? Yeah. So dumb. But anyway, that
fantasy, they're just wizards and magic and shit.
And dragons, yeah, but it's not fantasy. Yeah. But and then like maybe it's that one picture of Terry Goodkind. He looks like an asshole. The one, do you know which one I'm talking about?
He looks like a psychopath or something.
The one with the ponytail where he has that weird look on his face. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like staring into your soul, like I'm going to murder you.
That off-putting picture combined with Daniel Green's review. So I was like, let me investigate this boogeyman a little bit. I did.
And as we know, when you investigate the boogeyman, it's rarely as bad as people say it is, right?
Right. I still have some other books. Like another one of the boogeyman was Dark Dawn, or it's not.
Dark Dawn Daniel Green hated that series, right? Which
he hated the first.
Was good.
No, he didn't even finish the first book.
Oh yeah. I think like a lot of this stuff that like the jokes and the sex and the violence and stuff like that didn't work for him, but I think they worked for you and me.
Yeah, I thought it was completely fine. The first book I gave 5 stars. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I think that whole trilogy is awesome.
And another one he gave very poor ratings is The Fifth Sorceress. And that is one I still have on that. I think I got that one on Audible because I wanted to cover that one too. Because I think he said that was the worst book he's ever read in fantasy.
Oh wow, yeah, that makes me want to read it too.
And I heard it's on a lot of suck lists. But then again, there are some books that I've seen on the suck list that I really enjoy. So we'll see.
Yeah.
One of these days I'm going to need to get you into Belgariad. I don't know if you'll like it or not. It's not dark. Yeah. It's not like, it's not what you, it's closer to.
Is it like high fantasy?
It's definitely high fantasy. Like, it's not like Harry Potter or anything.
Okay. Yeah, I have. I think I mentioned before. I have some of the. I'm pretty sure I have like the first 3 Belgariad books or something like that, and I just haven't gotten around to reading them yet.
I think the preferred way is the audiobooks, because that guy that reads them is just excellent.
Okay.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
I got
definitely read them.
Got 5%. Let me rush down and plug this shit in before it dies.
Well, we were gonna end right away anyway, right?
Yeah, we're pretty much done. So, yeah. Thank you, peeps, for watching our show. Join us tomorrow on Andrew's channel for Blade, and next week for some more Castlevania.
Yes.
All right, and you guys have a great night. Like and subscribe, and watch my other shit. And leave some comments. I love me some comments. Even if they're shitty comments like on that CRT video. I even love those types of comments. I don't care. I probably love hate comments more than I love comments, because they occupy so much of my time. But I like arguing. Sometimes I like arguing with people online. It's fun.
Yeah, sometimes it is.
But yeah, everybody have a great evening, and join us tomorrow on Andrew's channel, and next week on mine. Toodaloo.
All right, adios. Have a good night, everyone.
Ta-ta, bitch.
Ta-ta, bitch.